Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, Shanta. I love your Compassionate Wisdom Circle. Gives us a place to do this. It's so wonderful. But yes, the portal, we're in it. We're already there. And it is extending or expanding the zone of change on absolutely every level. It's really interesting and fascinating to look at what the energies just present if I did not know what was going on in the world, and you'll see how it just supports everything we have to do in the world right now. So let's just start with the fact that we're in a year, 2020, that's considered like an overlap year. So the Cancer-Capricorn eclipses have affected us for the last 18 months, and the Gemini-Sag eclipses are about to affect us for the next 18 months. So there's always this zone where they overlap, and that's where we are now. So there's this ending, new beginning vibration that's always part of it, but the big deal about eclipses is that they facilitate permanent change. So anything that you're ready, willing, and able to own, let's start at the beginning. If you can see it, you can own it. If you can own it, you can change it. So that's kind of the order that you got to go in. And right now, it is an evolution in humanity's consciousness. Shanta and I have been on this path a long time talking about these things, and she started even before me with the harmonic convergence and different worldwide, let's say, protocols or plans that were going in place to facilitate or to support humanity's great awakening. And we were talking before the call, and we just feel like this is what it looks like when everyone wakes up at the same time. It's an incredibly chaotic, creative, wild time. And ultimately, you're going to define it through your lens and through your filters, from your perspective. So the idea is to be the most inclusive and unifying, and getting that prismatic perspective where you can see things from multiple perspectives and still hold your center is what's up. There's more rewiring to our internal systems, to our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual systems, absolutely. But you want to use this time to look at the changes that are coming up. I see it as getting a whole new operating system in the computer. You're getting a faster chip put in, so that you can process more and do more things at one time. This is the spirit in human form that you're aware of now. You're aware that you are this dual being that Gemini time always brings up for us. So here we are in that zone. But bigger than that, every time we have Gemini-Sag eclipses, and the last time we did was 2010 to 2013 and 2001 to 2003. And so you can see how the preceding years were Cancer-Capricorn. 99 to 2001, and then up to 2009 to through 2012. It's this overlap zone that we're back in, similar to those years. But the other planets are in brand new places that some have never been in our lifetime, and so we have access to new creative energetic support. So let's just be alert to that. Cycles repeat. All of these eclipses and things repeat, and yes, there's a lot of great similarities about the late 80s and early 90s that are all back right now. And we have to address them from this new perspective of having 10 or 20 or 30 years of life experience and education that you've just undergone. And how can you pour that all into the vision for humanity's rising to this new level? So every time we have these eclipses, along with Venus retrograde in Gemini, which is also happening now, she only goes backwards every 18 months, but only goes backwards in Gemini every 8 years. So that would have put that happening exactly at the same time during 2012 when the last Gemini-Sag eclipses were coming in, which also speaks to the evolution of humanity's consciousness and the mass awakening that happens all throughout 2012 that we prepared for from the 80s forward, that I know of, and I know it was happening from the 60s forward. This is also another stage of the 60s activations. There were initiations that happened in the 60s that now are being tested for their viability. Can we have freedom and justice for all? Can we have equality? Can we get rid of racism once and for all and illuminate it for the farce and the nonsense that it's not real? It was created to oppress. We are all human, and that's where the awakening and the conscious awareness has gone beyond where any, let's say, one person could control it. So now it is about where we put our consciousness and where we put our time, energy, and resources, which tells the universe what we believe. So you're going to make choices and you're going to take actions based on what you believe to be true. Our job as aware, awake, conscious human beings that care about the planet and each other is to periodically review and break to realign and let some things go and make some conscious sacrifices. So one of the other kind of overlying themes that I need you to be aware of, and what I asked Shanta to work into our meditation somehow, I think it'll just happen organically, is that we are in the processing time that precedes choice time. So every winter, spring, summer, fall is Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn times of year. They're considered the cardinal action, movement, choices, things to do. There's a lot of energy at those times and movement at those times. The month preceding them, which is Gemini, Sag, Virgo, Pisces, is where we gather all our information to put together that story we want to live into. I was writing, and it's in one of my blogs, and I was like, oh, wow, that's a really good Kellyism. And I said, you can't live into a story that the monkey mind is narrating. Let's not do that. Let's really not do that. The idea of the Sagittarius full moon lunar eclipse that we're in the zone of as we speak, we're already in the Sag moon. So the preceding moon to that is Scorpio. So we've already gone down into the soul level, into the Pluto realm of things that have to die in order for this new truth to be born. And at the same time, we're having this cleansing. This is the kickoff of the Gemini Sag eclipses, which are pretty equal. We have 3 lunar, 3 solar throughout the year. So we're going to equally, let's say, release and end things as we are going to initiate and begin new beginnings. But remember, they go together. They go together. And so anything that you can pull up in terms of your learning, your consciousness, your mental health, your mental well-being that was happening in those previous years, like I said, 2010 to 2013 or 2001 to 2003, things are cycling back. And you're getting another upgrade, which also in essence has to do with being able to think with your feelings. We're talking about the moon here, which rules our emotions and feelings and the water within us that is constantly moving. And constantly, even when we're asleep, our inward body is moving around doing what it's supposed to do. The systems are active. So we want to co-create with that, not kind of fight that. And so when it's processing time, you got to allow yourself a little latitude and a little extra space and be aware of your boundaries a little bit more. Be aware of your filters a little bit more. Be aware of that Neptune influence of, am I really seeing what I think I'm seeing, or, what is this really, or get that higher perspective, moving from the scorpion to the eagle. When you're on the ground, it's kill or be killed, but when you rise above it and you can see the bigger picture, you can start to figure out where to put your energy. That's more effective. And, that's always going to be my standpoint. And so this month in particular, I always want to talk about what we're releasing at the full moon, but we're releasing in order to birth this new. And the zone of new that we're in has to do with Gemini, which is your voice and the way you communicate and express yourself and the evocative power of language. You can choose some new words. I've been playing with language again, and it's so fun for me, and I know it's not for everybody, but if you are any kind of linguist and interested in growing, especially in your consciousness, it's like finding new language to express yourself shows that you've grown. It helps. How you gather and sort information, how often do you allow yourself a data dump? So I'm always encouraging you the 3 or 4 times a year that Mercury does a retrograde. That's another deep processing time that you have permission to pull back, erect little extra boundaries, extra filters, extra little things that show that you're caring for your system while it does its processes. When we are rebooting a computer and doing anything with it, you just got to sit there, right? You can't do anything while it's doing its updates of whatever it's doing. So the same thing applies here. This is the year of your inner storyteller in Kelly's world because we just launched the new Venus Circle because of her retrograde in Gemini, and June 3rd, just yesterday, was the kickoff. And so we're very much basking in that glow. And so, normally I would go into all these usual details and things, but our blueprint for now and the energetic, let's say, alchemical mix that we have access to is so special that without getting into too much astrological language, I just want to put the energies on the table because these are all coloring our eclipse season in this portal we're in. So let's first know that the evolution of change that's happening, we're leaning toward the Cancer energy of newness. We're going to have 2 Cancer new moons back to back, one of which is an eclipse. So the fact that we're having that new moon solar eclipse along with summer solstice, along with 28 days later another new moon in Cancer, we have this access for renewal of how we nurture ourselves and honor Mother Earth or Mother energy in general. What gives life? What nurtures and develops and holds life? We are vital beings, and our focus should be on life. We are not a death culture. We don't live in Pluto's realm, but we can't do it that way. We're different kinds of creatures, and the fact that we have consciousness means we have to do it a different way. So the things that are supporting this evolution of humanity's consciousness, which is tied to your individual story and truth and beliefs and ideas, thoughts, and concepts that come through you, and then the words and deeds that you commit to, that's all part of what's evolving. And when you're in it, it's hard to know what's what. But once you get to the other side of it, like we're coming to the other, probably a year from now, we'll understand better what Cancer Capricorn fundamentals were shifted. Home, work, self versus other, or individual within the context of your relationships. All that's what just got rearranged. Now, because all that got rearranged, don't you think that opens us up to new possibilities, new options, new truths, new ideas, new stories? Because now we're not doing home and work the same way. We're not doing relationship the same way. We're not socializing the same way. So now we have to open up to some new basic truths and principles on how to do that, because we're still a culture, we're still humans, we're still communal creatures. We still love to be touched and have to be touched or we will die. We are not computers that can just plug in and recharge that way. We have to be touched to be recharged. And so we can't lose that connection to Earth. And that is also what's up, and I think with Uranus and Taurus supporting us there, this awakening that we can't live that far disconnected from her. And that's Mother, and that brings us back. So on a micro level, individually, think of this awakening of Gemini, Sag, full moon, new moon going on right now, and that eclipse that's like breaking patterns that are bigger than just now, tied to cycles that I've already mentioned. And think about how that awakening in your consciousness is leading to this renewal of Cancer, self-care, self-love, nurturing, feminine, honoring of life energy that we want to seed. It's new moons are seed times. And that is when we enter the void and we can't always know which seeds are going to take. So right now we just want to seed that vision of the new story that honors life and Mother and the bounty and the garden that is provided, and that we are regenerative creatures just like she is, and that when we do things in collaboration and cooperation together, we thrive. The one way, one belief, one religion, one race, all that, that's nonsense. That's not healthy. It doesn't work. Everything about what works on Earth has to do with diversity. So we have to keep that in the mix. Meantime, some of you may have heard my early 2020 forecasts and updates and these special activations. I'm going to send you back there a couple of times throughout the year, and this is one of those times because we have some activations in June that are part of this initiation of a whole new truth and story for one and all. So if you have Gemini, Sag, and Virgo, Pisces activated in your chart, very personal, you're probably feeling it very intensely in those zones. Same for Cancer, Capricorn, and Aries, Libra. We're all up. Now, that doesn't mean that Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo, Aquarius are off the hook, because you're not. You're just processing it a different way. Something's up for everyone. Meantime, we're seeding the vision of a completely new way of living. And then the other thing to think about is we're approaching summer solstice, and the things that we seed at this time are going to culminate at winter solstice. And so at winter solstice, we have this big, huge once-in-20-year alignment that is actually launching the new social collective story, literally. So really try to think of this 6-month period, which eclipses reverberate for 6 months by themselves, just in general. So we're going to be dealing with whatever's up right now for the next 6 months regardless. So let's choose how to do that, and let's choose to eliminate language that no longer serves, eliminate the ideas and thoughts and the negative self-talk, any repetitive patterns with negative thinking, or let's say bringing that negative energy to other people or tolerating it from other people. You know, we're ready to seed something new, but we do have to clear out everything that's no longer true. And of all things that this particular full moon lunar eclipse is good for, it's releasing that which is no longer true for you or the social or collective. And then the other thing to think about with this lunar eclipse is that it's preceding one on July 5th, a month from now. So these are back-to-back. But the next one in America we can see. So I'm going to encourage people to be under the sky for the next one. Not that the energies aren't there, the vibrations aren't there, and I don't plan to be under the sky, because if I can be there, I will. But we are having like really torrential downpour rains here, so I'm not sure that I'm going to see the moon this month. But Cancer babies, alert. These eclipses are really important and powerful to participate with live, let's just say, if you can. So seeding the new truth and story in preparation for new social and collective story is part of our job this month. The miracles are still possible this year. The dates that we have, and this was interesting to me too when I listed them kind of right under each other and I could see them at a glance. We have the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, where we're seeding the new reality, the new truth and purpose, and a completely transformed, to the tune of Pluto, which is 250 years American Revolution, kind of let's rebirth all of that. Let's do this a new way. They are preceding by 1 month the miracles that are possible. So just think, well, we're in this zone by June 30th that we have this activation. That's a really good prayer day for seeding the new truth and story, and then go forward to July 27th, and that's one of the miracle days. Same thing's going to happen in reverse. Now we're going to have Good Miracle Day, October 12th, and then seed the new truth and story for the final hit, 11/12. So 11/11, really close to 11/11 and 10/10, which I also wanted to say to Shanta is I was looking for our call from 12/12/2007. Just like bookmark that, everybody, and I might have a little excerpt for us that'll be crazy, ridiculously relevant now. I don't know why. So we have this good juju going on. Now, meantime, we have this healing energy, this healing and educational energy that is so powerful if you are self-motivated. This is time to heal yourself and educate yourself and make yourself whole, however you can do that, using the tools. Shanta and I offer tools. Lots of the people in our circles are world servers as well. There's resources to be had for you to do things for yourself and get that alignment. So know that that's another theme going into this renewal. And this, like I said, we're in a portal. We're kind of in a wormhole for the eclipses of the summer and the retrogrades and everything. Like it's going to be a blur. There's no way around it. But at the same time, these themes are all woven in where we're healing how we relate with each other in a very deep and powerful way. And we're also making the mother and the nurturing feminine principles sacred again and integrating that with the wisdom of what's good for the whole family, let's say, the family of humanity. What's good for everybody is making the individual sacred again, to making life sacred, to not being a death-oriented system, that doesn't feed life and the humans. So that's all a theme that's working in there. And then at the same time, we have Sirius, the mother principle, in Pisces with Mars. So our masculine's getting some juju from mom, getting some love, like get yourself together, little man. We got to do this another way. Another way to put that is mother is awake and she is pissed. So we've got to pay attention to how we nurture our individual masculine so that we can do that better socially, collectively, too. So that's the part of you that negotiates on your own behalf, gets your ideas in the world, and holds good boundaries. And all that's being renewed. As we renew the feminine, the masculine automatically has to upgrade too. So just keep that in mind and know that we're warming up to some other things that are very evolutionary, let's just say. So where Saturn in Aquarius is all about what we can do to be responsible humans and come together as a community and really anchor human rights once and for all, beautiful, is squaring off with Uranus and Taurus, which is a little bit more about the environmental importance and activation of the earth that's going on. So we have to balance these things out all together. And again, keeping that focus on life and evolving your consciousness, on purpose. All of this is preparation for. That's the other thing. Like I said, we're in a processing time. That's why you want to have a little bit of extra boundaries and a little bit of extra self-care. Because when the choices have to be made and the actions have to be taken in the next month, you want to be clear to the best of your ability, right? So keep in mind that you can choose one concept or thought pattern that you want to release at this time, and then just check in with yourself and see where you are 6 months from now. Check in with how you've historically expressed yourself and communicated with others over the last 10 years, over the last 20 years. How has that gone in the bigger picture? And then how do you want to evolve that this year? And really dig deep into your beliefs and how they work for you or hold you back. What are you believing to be true or possible, and how is your consciousness helping or hindering you along the way? And really look at your language and your thoughts, because they're super powerful. They're part of the creative process. So we're activating the imagination to come up with the creative solutions that maybe the monkey mind is never going to find. Do you know what I mean? If it's up to us as our individual little human mind versus our higher self, great mind that's connected to spirit, we don't know what to do. So let's open up to that too and know that Mercury retrograde coming in Cancer is going to help all this too. It's going to stir it up for some people, but it's also going to help us heal other people in terms of their connection to being able to think with your feelings or feel what's necessary for you, the individual, what's necessary for your family, your community, and your country, because we have people from all over the world, and everyone is feeling this in a different way. This evolution of humanity's consciousness and rights is rooted in that love of life and vitality and honoring the mother. So let's use the pullback that we've been forced to do one way or another to clear out what's no longer true, clear out the language that doesn't really tell your story the way it is right now. It tells an old story maybe, but it's not telling the story you want to tell going forward. So let's get some new language for the new story that you want to tell as an individual, and think about the story you want to contribute to in the social and collective realms. What do you want to be a part of? What do you want to be a voice for? What do you really care about, and what needs to be expressed? And how do you learn and how do you teach? The writing and publishing is also part of the domain, learning and teaching, writing and publishing. We're all eternal students and teachers, really. But this is a high time for learning. This is where we're all being pushed to learn something new, to do something in a new way, to conceive of a new way of exchanging energy and ideas with other people. How do we do that and still keep our humanity and stay grounded in our bodies and stay connected to Earth? So in that vein, I welcome Shanta back, because her meditations always help us wire into our bodies all these various ideas I've put on the table. Just know that the planets totally support us from every angle, and most of the repetitive messages are feminine, life-affirming. If you can be responsible and proactive on your own behalf and manage those boundaries, you can make some headway no matter what kind of situation or circumstance you find yourself in right now, because that's another thing that is wildly diverse. Everyone is experiencing this year in a pretty individual way. And so that's why take what serves, take what feels good, and release the rest. And I think in the post-call goodies, I'm going to include this little graphic that has 6 little one-liners. So just let me close with this. Shanta, come on back. We are activating and reclaiming our inner storyteller. We are activating and renewing our sacred mind and sacred ideas. We are activating and realigning our sacred partnerships, collaborations, and relationships. We are activating and restoring our sacred wisdom. We are activating and reviving our sacred imagination. And we are activating and redreaming our sacred masculine. Deep breath. And all of that is supported by the 6 eclipses that are going to fall in Gemini Sag starting with tomorrow.
Wow. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, darling. Much love.
That's a lot. Yeah. What would you like to kind of kick off the prayer time?
That was my prayer. Reclaiming, renewing, realigning, restoring, reviving, redreaming. That's my prayer for the world on every level, but especially the mental, spiritual belief systems level. Let's clear that out so we can believe something new, so we can experience something new, and be in touch with our bodies and our imaginations. That is what makes us human. Call that humanity back into your body, and so it is now and always.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.